The Great Hall of the Supreme Court in Nova Terra was filled with tension. Thousands of beings from many worlds had gathered to hear the court's decision. Nova Terra was the capital of the Interstellar Alliance, a place where many alien races and humans worked together to keep peace. But today the court was about to say something no one expected. In the front row sat Consul Varek, an important alien leader with silver hair that shimmered under the bright lights. Beside him were his 3 granddaughters, Ayla, Lyra, and Mira, each known for their strength and pride in their culture. The granddaughters were famous across many systems. They were leaders, warriors, and thinkers. No one thought the court would control their futures. The judge's voice echoed through the hall, cold and firm. The court declares that the 3 granddaughters of Consul Varek must marry human males, the judge said. The hall went silent for a moment, then gasps and murmurs spread like wildfire. No one expected this ruling. The court explained that the ancient treaty between humans and the alien race of the Consul was meant to strengthen the bond between species. Many years ago, the treaty said that close families of leaders should form marriages to create strong peace ties, but the law had never been enforced. Until now. Ayla's eyes narrowed. Forced marriage? This is an insult to our people, she whispered to Lyra. Mira's lips pressed into a hard line. They all felt trapped by a decision made far from their homes. The humans in the court were surprised too. For many, the idea of marrying alien royalty seemed like a story from a book, not a real law. But for the granddaughters, this was a life-changing event. Outside the court, news spread quickly. Holoscreens in every city displayed the verdict. People everywhere debated the ruling. Some felt it was a great chance to build peace. Others called it unfair and old-fashioned. At a small cafe on Earth, a man named Eric watched the news with surprise. Eric was an ordinary software engineer. He lived a quiet life and never imagined he would be part of something so big. But soon, he learned he was one of the men chosen to marry one of the alien granddaughters. The next day, Eric received a message from the Interstellar Alliance. It said, "You have been selected as a human spouse for an alien granddaughter. Your life will change. Prepare for your journey to Nova Terra." Eric felt a mix of emotions, shock, fear, and curiosity. How could this happen? He barely knew about the alien cultures. But the message was clear. His life would never be the same. Back on Nova Terra, the granddaughters met in a private chamber. The room was decorated with stars and colors from their home planet. Ayla paced the floor, her mind racing. "We can't just accept this," Ayla said. "They want to control us with old laws that don't fit today." Lyra, the calmest of the 3, nodded. "We must find a way to change the court's mind. But we also need to understand why they decided this now." Mira looked out the window at the city below. "Maybe it's not just about us. Maybe there are bigger forces at work." They decided to meet with their grandfather, Consul Varek. The consul was a wise and respected leader. He had fought hard for peace and cooperation between humans and aliens. When he heard the news, he felt torn. "My granddaughters are strong," he said softly. "But the court's decision affects all of us. We must find a way to protect our family and our people." Varek promised to use all his influence to help, but he also warned them to prepare for a journey to Earth. The granddaughters would meet the human men chosen for marriage. It was a challenge. None of them wanted, but they knew it was part of their duty. Meanwhile, Eric was busy learning about the alien culture. The Alliance sent him training, lessons on language, customs, and history. He studied the unique ways the granddaughters lived and thought. Eric wanted to be ready, even if he was scared. He thought about meeting Ayla, Lyra, or Mira. What would they be like? Would they like him? Could he be a good partner? These questions kept him awake at night. When Eric's ship landed on Nova Terra, the granddaughters were waiting. They stood tall and proud, wearing elegant clothes that showed their heritage. Eric felt small, but tried to stay calm. Ayla was the first to speak. "Welcome to Nova Terra," she said, her voice steady but with a hint of challenge. "We did not choose this meeting, but here we are." Eric smiled nervously. "I'm honored to meet you all. I want to understand, and I want us to find a way forward." The granddaughters exchanged looks. This human was not like the others. They sensed honesty and respect. Over the next days, they shared stories, asked questions, and learned about each other's worlds. Eric showed his kindness and patience. The granddaughters began to see that maybe, just maybe, this unexpected decree could become something more than a rule. But beyond the palace walls, rumors grew. Some wanted to stop the marriages. Others hoped for new alliances. The story was just beginning, and no one knew what the future held. As the sun set over Nova Terra, the granddaughters looked out at the stars. They were proud, strong, and ready to face whatever came next. Together with the humans, they might change history forever. The bright lights of Nova Terra's diplomatic center sparkled against the deep purple sky as the alien granddaughters and their human suitors prepared for the first official meeting. This moment was unlike anything either species had faced before. The ancient court order had brought them together, but now it was time to find out if they could truly understand each other. Ayla, Lyra, and Mira stood in the grand hall, their eyes scanning the room. The humans had arrived. Eric, the man from Earth, Thomas, a calm scientist from Mars, and Leo, a young pilot from a space station orbiting a distant star. Each human looked nervous but eager. The room was full of decorations from both human and alien worlds. Alien banners hung beside human flags, and the scent of rare flowers from many planets filled the air. It was a scene meant to show unity, but underneath tension hummed quietly. Ayla stepped forward first, her voice strong. "We come from different worlds with different ways. This meeting is not easy, but if we are to build bridges, we must try." Eric nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I agree. We have much to learn from each other." The first days were filled with careful conversations. The granddaughters explained their customs, how their people valued honor, respect for elders, and a deep connection to nature. They shared stories of their home planet, a place of vast forests and shimmering lakes, very different from the cities the humans knew. The humans, in return, talked about their own lives. Thomas described the busy labs of Mars where new inventions were born every day. Leo spoke of flying through the stars free and wild. Eric shared simple moments, his love for music, his quiet life on Earth. Slowly they found small common threads, a laugh, a hope, a dream. But cultural differences soon became clear. The granddaughters wore symbols on their skin that changed color with their emotions. To the humans, this was beautiful but also confusing. One day, Eric accidentally asked Ayla if she was angry because her skin flashed red. Ayla smiled and explained that it was just her way of feeling the moment deeply, not anger. Then there were the rules about personal space. The aliens stood closer when talking, while humans stepped back, creating awkward pauses. The granddaughters found human gestures strange, like shaking hands or hugging, while the humans struggled to understand the alien way of greeting, which involved touching the forehead in respect. One afternoon, Mira took Eric to a garden filled with glowing plants. The air was soft and warm, unlike Earth's cooler breeze. "This place is our peace," Mira said. "When I feel lost, I come here." Eric touched a flower that pulsed gently with light. "It's beautiful. I wish I could show you Earth's forests sometime." Mira smiled. "Perhaps you will?" Despite the growing friendship, there were challenges. Not all humans welcomed the marriages. Some whispered that humans should not marry aliens, that their ways were too different. On the alien side, many believed the granddaughters were losing freedom by obeying the court. One evening, Ayla stood on a balcony, looking at the stars. Thomas joined her quietly. "You seem troubled," he said. "The court's decision changes everything," Ayla replied. "Some call it a chance for peace, but others see it as control." Thomas nodded. "I don't think the humans who oppose this understand how strong your people are. But maybe they fear what they don't know." Ayla looked at him with respect. "Then we must show them. Not with words, but with action." Meanwhile, in the city, protests grew louder. People from both species gathered, holding signs and speaking their minds. Some were angry, others hopeful. The media covered every event. making the story known across the galaxy. Lyra, usually calm, felt the pressure most. She met with leaders from both sides trying to ease fears and misunderstandings. It was a difficult task. "We must be patient," she said in a meeting. "Change is hard but necessary. If we fight now, we lose what we want most: peace." Back at the palace, the granddaughters also trained in skills that could help their new lives. They practiced human languages, learned about technology, and even tried human food, though it took some getting used to. Eric found himself helping with this. One day, as Mira tasted a spicy earth dish, she gasped and laughed. "Too strong," Eric chuckled. "I warned you." These small moments built trust. The granddaughter, began to see that the humans were not just representatives of a different species but individuals with hopes and fears like their own. Still, the future was uncertain. The court's decree was only the beginning. There were forces in the background: political, leaders, secret groups, watching closely, ready to use the situation for their own gain. One night, as the granddaughters and their human partners prepared to rest, Ayla looked at the stars again. "We are on the edge of something new," she said softly. "We can make this work, or we can let fear break us apart." Eric squeezed her hand. "Then let's choose to work together." The granddaughters nodded, knowing the days ahead would test them all. But for the first time, they felt a real hope, a chance to turn the court's unexpected decree into a new beginning. The courtrooms of Novatera were usually places of calm order, where laws and agreements kept the galaxy balanced. But now, behind the heavy doors of the Supreme Court, something strange was happening. The ruling that forced the granddaughters of Consul Varek to marry human men was not as simple as it seemed. Consul Varek sat in his private study, his mind heavy with worry. The court's decision had shocked many, but now he wondered if it was part of a deeper plan. He had trusted the Alliance's justice system for decades, yet something felt off. He called his most trusted advisor, Solon, a sharp and wise being, with many years of experience in politics. "We must find out why the court chose to enforce this old treaty now," Varek said quietly. "It feels like more than just law. It feels like a message." Solon nodded. "There are rumors, Consul. Some believe that certain factions want to weaken our people by forcing these marriages. Others think it is a test of the Alliance's power." Varek's eyes narrowed. "We cannot allow this to divide us." Meanwhile, in the grand halls where the court met, whispers of secret meetings and hidden agendas floated through the corridors. Some powerful leaders from various planets met behind closed doors. They spoke of control, influence, and the future of the Interstellar Alliance. One of these leaders was Chancellor Corrin, a man known for his ambition. He saw the court's ruling as a way to strengthen human influence over alien politics. "If the granddaughters marry human men, we gain a foothold in their homeworlds," he told his followers. "It will be easier to guide their decisions." Not everyone agreed. Lady Thalia, an alien diplomat, warned, "This path could backfire. Forced unions breed resentment. We risk more conflict, not less." The tension in the court was growing. Some judges who had supported the ruling now worried about its consequences, but the decision stood, and the granddaughters were expected to follow it. Back at the consul's residence, Ayla, Lyra, and Mira listened carefully as Varek explained what he had learned. "There are powers working against us," he said. "They want to use this marriage decree to control our future. We must be careful." Ayla clenched her fists. "Then we must find proof. We cannot let them trick us." Lyra suggested a plan. "We will work quietly to uncover the truth. We can use our positions to gather information." Mira agreed. "And we should watch those who speak loudly in favor of the ruling. They may have hidden reasons." As the granddaughters began their quiet investigation, Eric, Thomas, and Leo continued to learn more about their alien partners. Eric noticed that the granddaughters often received private messages from unknown sources. When he asked Ayla about it, she said only, "We have our own allies." The humans realized that politics was not just a background story. It was a dangerous game that could affect all of them. One evening, Lyra met with a secret informant in a dimly lit corridor. The informant handed her a small data chip. "This shows meetings between some judges and the Chancellor's agents," the informant whispered. "They are planning to push the marriages to increase human control." Lyra's heart raced. "Thank you, this could change everything." She quickly shared the evidence with her sisters and their grandfather. Varek knew they had to act carefully. "We will bring this to the court's attention," he said. "But we must be sure of our allies." The granddaughters planned to reveal the truth during the next court session. It was risky but necessary. In the meantime, the granddaughters also faced pressure from their own people. Some families demanded they reject the marriages outright. Others warned them not to trust humans. Ayla felt torn. "We must protect our people's honor," she told Eric one day. "But we cannot close ourselves off from the possibility of friendship and peace." Eric nodded. "I want to prove that we can be partners, not just because of a court order, but because we choose to be." Their growing trust gave the granddaughters strength, but the shadow of politics and secret schemes loomed large. The day of the court hearing arrived. The granddaughters entered the chamber with Varek and their human partners. The hall was packed, with officials, journalists, and citizens from many worlds. Ayla stood before the judges and spoke with calm but strong voice. "We honor the law, but we must ask, who truly benefits from this decree? Is it peace or control?" Lyra presented the data chip, revealing the secret meetings and plans. A murmur ran through the crowd. Some judges looked shocked. Others tried to hide their discomfort. Varek stepped forward. "We call for a fair investigation. Let us find the truth and protect the future of all our peoples." The court agreed to review the evidence. For the first time, the ruling was questioned openly. Outside the court, crowds gathered to hear the news. Supporters of the granddaughters cheered. Others protested, fearing change. As night fell on Nova Terra, the granddaughters met quietly. "We have taken the first step," Mira said. "But the fight is far from over." Ayla smiled faintly. "Together we are stronger than any secret." Eric reached for her hand. "And we will face whatever comes, side by side." The path ahead was uncertain, but hope burned brightly. The truth was their greatest weapon, and they were ready to use it. The grand hall of Nova Terra was filled with light and color. Today was a day that many had waited for and feared at the same time. The first wedding between one of the Consul's granddaughters and a human male was about to happen. The ceremony was not just a union of two people, it was a symbol of a new future. Ayla stood at the entrance, wearing a flowing dress made of shimmering fabric that seemed to change color with her movements. Her silver hair was braided carefully, a mix of tradition and elegance. She looked calm, but inside, her heart beat fast. Eric stood nearby, adjusting his simple but neat suit. He had come a long way from the nervous man who had first arrived on Nova Terra. Now he was ready to stand beside Ayla, not just as someone chosen by the court, but as someone who cared deeply for her. The guests arrived, aliens from many worlds, and humans from Earth, Mars, and beyond. Some watched with hope, others with doubt. The granddaughter's sisters, Lyra and Mira, stood proudly among the attendees, their eyes full of encouragement. The ceremony began with music that blended alien instruments with human melodies. It was a beautiful harmony, a reminder that two different cultures could create something new and strong. The High Elder spoke first. "Today, we witness a union born not only from law, but from the hope of peace and understanding. Ayla and Eric, you represent the possibility of two worlds coming together." Ayla and Eric faced each other. Their hands touched, and Ayla felt warmth she had not expected. She looked into Eric's eyes and saw sincerity and kindness. "Eric," she said softly, "I promise to share my world with you, to respect and learn, and to walk together on this new path." Eric smiled. "Ayla, I promise to listen, to support, and to grow with you. Together we can build a future, stronger than the past." The crowd whispered in approval as the couple exchanged rings made from rare metals found on Ayla's home planet. The rings glowed softly, a sign of a bond recognized by both their peoples. As the ceremony ended, the guests celebrated with food and music. Eric tried dishes made from alien spices, while Ayla enjoyed Earth's simple sweets. Laughter filled the air. Later, Ayla and Eric walked through the palace gardens. The glow of alien flowers lit their path. "This day feels like the start of something important," Eric said. Ayla nodded. "It is. But it is only the beginning. We must face many challenges." Eric took her hand. "I am ready with you." Meanwhile, news of the wedding spread quickly across the galaxy. Some celebrated the event as a sign of hope. Others saw it as a sign of change they did not want. Lyra and Mira worked to support their sister's choice. Lyra spoke at meetings urging peace and understanding. Mira met with community leaders, calming fears and answering questions. But not all were happy. A group of radicals on an alien world called Viridian sent a message threatening the peace. "These marriages betray our people," their leader declared. "We will fight to protect our traditions." The Granddaughters knew the dangers were growing. Ayla's union with Eric was a symbol, and symbols could inspire both hope and hate. 1. Evening, Mira received a warning from a trusted contact. "There are plans to disrupt the celebrations on the next anniversary of the court's ruling," the contact said. "We must be prepared." The Granddaughters agreed to increase security and reach out to allies. Back on Earth, Tomas and Leo continued their own journeys with Lyra and Mira. They met often to share their experiences and challenges. Tomas admired Lyra's calm wisdom, while Leo respected Mira's courage. "We must show our people that these marriages are more than rules," Lyra said one day. "They are chances to grow." Tomas nodded. "It won't be easy, but together we can change minds." Leo smiled. "And maybe even hearts." As months passed, the bonds between the couples grew stronger. They learned from each other's worlds, their languages and their traditions. The initial tension gave way to genuine friendship and trust. Ayla and Eric faced moments of doubt and fear, but their commitment helped them push through. They became an example to others, proving that love and respect could cross any boundary. One afternoon, Ayla received a message from her grandmother, a respected elder. "Remember, dear one, that strength comes not just from power but from unity. You carry the hopes of many." Ayla held the message close. She knew the road ahead was still full of challenges, but she felt ready. At a large gathering in Novaterra, the Granddaughters and their human partners spoke to a crowd. They shared stories of their journeys, their struggles, and their hopes. Eric spoke for the humans. "We are learning every day. We may be different, but we share the same dreams for peace and friendship." Ayla spoke for her people. "We will honor our traditions while embracing new ones. Together, we are stronger." The crowd applauded, and for a moment, the future seemed bright. Yet beneath the celebration, the Granddaughters remained aware of the threat still lurking. The radicals would not give up easily, and the political tensions were still strong. But for now, the first union was a beacon, a sign that even the oldest laws could lead to new beginnings. Ayla and Eric's marriage was more than a duty. It was a choice to face the future together no matter what. As night fell over Novaterra, the stars shone brightly, reminding all who looked up that in the vast universe, hope and courage could light the darkest skies. The peace that followed the first union was fragile. Though many celebrated Ayla and Eric's marriage as a symbol of hope, not everyone welcomed the changes. Across the galaxy, tensions began to rise. Some saw the unions as a chance to build a better future, while others feared losing their traditions and power. In the busy markets of Novaterra, whispers of discontent spread. Human citizens spoke nervously about the alien Granddaughters marrying humans. Some questioned if such marriages were right, while others felt jealousy or fear. Alien communities, too, worried that their culture might be lost or changed forever. One afternoon, Ayla, Lyra, and Mira met in a quiet room in the palace. The air was thick with concern. "We cannot ignore what is happening," Lyra said. There are groups stirring anger and fear. If we don't act, this could lead to violence. Mira nodded. The radicals on Viridian are growing stronger. They spread messages against our unions and call for rebellion. Ayla's eyes were steady. Then we must show our people the truth. These marriages are not threats, but bridges. Just as they spoke, Eric arrived. I have heard the whispers too, he said. Some humans are afraid. They worry we will lose what makes us different. Ayla smiled gently. Fear comes from the unknown. We must be patient and show them who we really are. Despite their words, the tension grew. One evening, a protest erupted near the palace gates. Voices shouted slogans against the marriages. Some threw stones. Guards quickly moved to protect the granddaughters and their partners. The granddaughters watched from a balcony as the crowd below shouted. This is only the beginning, Mira said quietly. Eric stood beside her. We must be careful. The radicals will not stop. The next day, a message arrived from the leader of the radicals on Viridian. It warned the granddaughters to end the unions or face consequences. The message was clear and threatening. Consul Varric called a meeting with his advisors and family. We face a serious threat, he said. Our people's safety is at risk, but we cannot give in to fear. Lyra suggested, we should reach out to the moderates on Viridian. Many do not support violence. If we can talk to them, maybe we can reduce the danger. Ayla agreed. We will try peace first, but we must prepare for any attack. Meanwhile, Eric worked to bring understanding among humans. He spoke at public gatherings, sharing his experiences and encouraging kindness and respect. Thomas and Leo joined him, speaking about their own partnerships with the granddaughters. Slowly, they began to change some minds. One night, the granddaughters held a quiet meeting with leaders from different planets. They spoke honestly about their fears and hopes. We need to show unity, Mira said. Not just with words, but with actions. Lyra suggested organizing joint projects, human and alien teams working together on science, art, and education. When people see cooperation, they learn to trust. Ayla smiled. Let us begin. As these efforts grew, the radicals grew more desperate. One night, a sabotage attempt was made on the power grid of Novaterra. The city plunged into darkness. For hours, no one was hurt, but fear spread. The granddaughters visited the affected areas the next day. They comforted citizens and promised to protect everyone. Eric stood with them, holding Ayla's hand. We are not enemies, he said. We will stand together. The public response surprised some radicals. Many citizens joined hands, forming peaceful marches for unity and hope. Still, the threat remained. Intelligence reports showed that some radicals planned a larger attack during an upcoming festival, celebrating the alliance between species. The granddaughters and their human partners prepared for the worst. Security was tightened, and emergency teams trained for any crisis. On the day of the festival, the streets of Novaterra were filled with music, lights, and smiling faces. For a moment it seemed peace would hold. But then, a loud explosion shook a nearby district. Panic spread quickly. Emergency crews rushed to the scene, and guards secured the area. The granddaughters moved swiftly, helping organize aid and calming frightened citizens. Eric coordinated, with medical teams making sure help reached those in need. Despite the chaos, the granddaughters stood strong. Their bravery inspired many, and the people began to rally together. In the days after the attack, investigations found the perpetrators, radicals. Hoping to break the peace, Varric spoke to the public. We will not let fear control us. These attacks only show how important our unity is. Ayla addressed the crowd. We must remember that hate does not belong to any one species. It is the enemy we all face. Eric added, together, we can heal and build a future where all are safe and respected. Slowly, the city and its people began to heal. The granddaughters and their human partners continued their work, knowing the road ahead was still difficult, but their courage and hope gave many strength. As night fell on Novaterra, the stars shone brightly. They were a reminder that even in dark times, light could guide the way. The days after the festival attack were filled with tension and questions. The granddaughters, Ayla, Lyra, and Mira, felt the weight of their people's hopes and fears more than ever. The peace they had worked so hard to build was fragile. The stolen artifact, a powerful object said to hold secrets of ancient knowledge, had vanished from the Novaterra Museum. Its loss sent shockwaves through the Alliance. The artifact was important not just because of its value, but because it symbolized the unity between humans and aliens. It had been a gift from an ancient alien race, a reminder of cooperation and trust. Consul called an emergency meeting with his granddaughters and their human partners. "We must find the artifact," he said. "If it falls into the wrong hands, it could cause great harm." Eric, Thomas, and Leo understood the gravity of the situation. They knew the radicals could use the artifact to deepen fear and conflict. Ayla's eyes were sharp. "This is a test, not only of the artifact's safety but of our loyalty, to each other and to peace." The group decided to form a team combining the granddaughters' skills and the humans' knowledge. They would work together to track down the stolen artifact. Their investigation led them through the busy markets of Novaterra, the dark alleys of alien quarters, and the high-tech labs of the city. Each step brought new clues and new dangers. One evening, Mira discovered a secret message hidden in a hologram broadcast. It hinted that the artifact was being moved to a distant asteroid base controlled by a group opposed to the marriages. "We must act fast," Mira warned. "If they unlock the artifact's power, the consequences could be terrible." The team planned a mission to the asteroid base. Ayla led the operation, with Eric, Thomas, Leo, and her sisters by her side. They prepared their ship and reviewed their plan carefully. The journey to the asteroid was tense. Everyone knew this mission was more than a rescue. It was a chance to prove that humans and aliens could work as one. When they reached the base, they found it heavily guarded. The radicals had expected an attack, using their combined skills. The team found a way inside through a hidden tunnel. Inside, they saw the artifact, a glowing crystal resting on a pedestal. Suddenly, alarms blared. The guards were alerted. A fierce but careful fight began. Ayla's agility and combat skills blended with Eric's quick thinking and Thomas's technical expertise. Leo piloted support drones to distract the guards. The team moved as one, covering each other and using their strengths together. Slowly, they reached the artifact. Mira reached out and took the crystal carefully. Its light pulsed gently as if recognizing her touch, but the mission was not over. The team had to escape before more guards arrived. Back on their ship, they raced away from the asteroid base, the artifact safe once again. The mission was a success, but it showed the risks ahead. Back in Novaterra, the granddaughters and their human partners shared the story of their teamwork. Their courage and trust inspired many. Consul spoke at a public gathering. "Today we see what is possible when we stand together. Our loyalty to peace and to each other is stronger than any threat." Ayla addressed the crowd. "We have faced danger, but our bond has not broken. Together, we will protect our future." Eric added, "We are not just partners by law. We are partners by choice and by trust." The story of the artifact mission spread throughout the galaxy. It became a symbol of hope, a reminder that unity was powerful. Still, the granddaughters knew the struggle was not over. Hidden enemies remained and the path to peace was long. But as they stood together holding the artifact's light, they felt a deep truth. Together, humans and aliens could overcome fear, mistrust, and danger. Together, they could build a new future. The Grand Hall of Novaterra was filled with people from many planets. The air was thick with hope and excitement. Today was a historic day. The court was ready to hear a new case, one that could change the future of the Interstellar Alliance forever. Ayla, Lyra, and Mira stood together, their human partners by their sides. They looked calm, but proud. The court's first ruling had forced them into marriages with human men. Now they came with a different message, one of choice, unity, and respect. Consul watched from the front row, his heart full of pride. The journey had been long and difficult, but his granddaughters had shown courage beyond measure. The chief judge began. Today we consider new laws that reflect the reality of our galaxy, laws that honor the unity between humans and aliens. Ayla stepped forward to speak. We stand before you not as subjects of an old decree, but as partners who have chosen to build a future together. Our marriages began with the court's decision, but they have become bonds of trust and friendship. Lyra added, our peoples have faced fear and conflict, but through understanding and respect we have found strength. We ask the court to recognize this new reality. Mira's voice was steady. The old laws were written for a different time. Now we need new laws, laws that protect freedom, choice, and the right to love across all species. The court listened carefully. The evidence was strong. The granddaughters shared stories of their journeys, the challenges they faced, and the hope they inspired. Eric spoke next, representing the human partners. We have learned that differences are not barriers but bridges. Together we can build a galaxy where respect and cooperation guide us. Tomas and Leo supported the message. Their words added power to the call for change. After hours of discussion, the judges made their decision. The court declared that the marriages between humans and aliens were not just legal duties but personal choices, protected by new laws that guaranteed freedom and equality. The room erupted in applause. Many tears were shed. The granddaughters smiled, knowing this was a victory for all. Outside the court, crowds celebrated, banners flew, and music filled the streets. The galaxy had taken a step toward a future where differences were celebrated, not feared. In the days that followed, new programs were created to support interspecies families. Schools taught children about the many cultures of the Alliance. Artists and scientists worked together, inspired by the unity. The granddaughters and their human partners continued their work as ambassadors of peace. They traveled to distant planets, sharing their stories and encouraging understanding. One evening, Ayla stood with Eric on a balcony overlooking the city. The stars above shone brightly. Do you remember when this all began? Eric asked. Ayla smiled. It felt impossible then. But we chose to believe in each other. Eric nodded. And we made a new path. Lyra and Thomas joined them, followed by Mira and Leo. Together they looked at the future with hope. Consul joined them, his voice warm. You have shown the galaxy what it means to be strong, not through power, but through unity. The EOD granddaughters knew challenges would still come. Fear and misunderstanding never fully disappeared. But they also knew they had built something lasting, a foundation for a galaxy where all could live in peace. As the night deepened, they made a silent promise to keep working, keep learning, and keep believing. For in the vast universe it was not the differences that defined them, but the bonds they chose to create.